All right, guys, welcome to the Ravit Show, and yeah, very happy to have Sarah today as a guest on the Ravit Show. I will be actually discussing about her data science journey till today, and we'll be also touching areas where talking a lot about data nomad, the importance of data literacy. Sarah will be letting us know about her journey in data and how books have actually helped her shape her data science journey. So yeah, that's happening, and also out of all this, we'll also be talking about the new courses that Sarah is creating for us. So that's on the cards. Also, before I get Sarah on board, I would like to thank our partners, 365 Data Science and How to Get Analytics Jobs by Albert and John. Obviously, they are doing a fantastic job. Don't forget to visit them. And also, one quick heads up, the five best questions here today will be winning annual subscription of 365 Data Science. So don't forget. Okay, let's get going and let's welcome Sarah. Sarah, welcome to the Ravit Show. How are
Hi,
you?
Ravit. Good. How are you?
I'm good. We'll be discussing a lot many things. I was just trying to let the audience know the discussion topics today, and there are a few folks who are joining in. There's Kush. Hi, Kush. Then there's Dr. Tariq, Robert. Hey, Robert from YouTube. Awesome. Camden. Hello.
Good morning.
Awesome.
Good evening from everywhere.
Awesome. So, Sarah, talking about your journey, I would want you to actually introduce yourself first.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love hate this question because you never know where to start. I remember the first time I ever walked through my entire data science journey was on with Bo and Terry and all of them, and we had done our first session. And I think I started from when I was like 13 and wanted to be an aspiring chef. Um,
Wow.
and yeah, so we all, I think, have our passions when we're young and then get very shocked when we realize as adults where we ended up. So my journey started, I think, when I was in college. I thought I wanted to go into med school. I thought I wanted business. We all are confused when we're in undergrad. And
True.
I don't think any of us really saw what was going to kind of become this data evolution. I mean, some of us did. I those of us who graduated, I thought I was a mechanical engineer at the point that I had kind of made a decision for myself. I thought, okay, I'm going to go into renewable energy. I really want to make a difference on the world from the standpoint of helping us be a little bit more cognizant about the waste that we put into the world and kind of how can we help the planet from that standpoint. And I remember graduating and having 2 resumes and being like, let the job market basically dictate where my journey goes. And I ended up at a startup that did data science on marketing campaigns. And that was a huge thing. A lot of agencies existed to help optimize marketing campaigns. And that was actually a very, very cool first job to have. And actually, they say a lot of the smartest people are working on how to get people to click on ads, which isn't wrong. The advertising is such a huge bed for data. We're going to see an evolution in that as I don't know how in plugged in you guys are to like the new iOS 14 changes and privacy changes. And so that's all very interesting to me. And yeah, then I worked for a mobile gaming company for a couple of years, and now I'm at Snapchat. Wow. So, and I work as a financial analyst there. So random odd jobs that flows into, I think, some of the later topics that we'll talk about. So
Yeah, but I think it's been like it's a very inspiring journey. That's what I can see, from mechanical engineering to financial analyst. I share a similar journey where I come from a finance background, and then I am here marketing and talking to data folks in data field. So I think we all have our journeys, but yours is one inspiring one. So yeah.
Thank you, Ravi. Yeah, I think listening to a lot of folks, it's no one has there is no standardized way to get into
Mm,
and really grow within the data science community. Everyone has a very
mm,
unique journey, and I think that's what makes our community so strong
yeah.
is that we are so diverse
Mm,
in our backgrounds that
right.
we all get to really leverage each other's expertise in those domains and really do a lot more. And so, yeah, I think hearing everyone's stories is really interesting and fun.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. Talking about stories, also we have Andrew Jones here who says that you'll be a part of the Hidden Layer initiative that he's coming up with, and which has to deal with a lot of mental health and well-being. So yeah, looking forward to that, Andrew. Thanks for bringing this up. And
Likewise.
yeah, we'll also be talking about a little mental health. Why is it important, and how it is important today in our today's session? So yes. Also, we have a few more folks who were joining in. Scott Taylor is here. Hey,
Scott.
Scott. Then we have obviously LinkedIn user. It's Kate. Hey, Kate. So talking about community, it's always about Kate. Whenever I see her doing something, and every time it's something new that comes up, like literally she posted about something that she's coming up, which is dedicated industry, and in just like 3 hours, I see her posting that in 3 hours she got 1,000 registrations, which is unreal to me. But I think data community is very big and huge. What do you think about data community? How long have you been here, and how has your journey been till date?
Yeah, it's been interesting actually. So
Hmm?
no one can compete with Kate. Kate is a powerhouse on LinkedIn. So
Exactly.
um, my journey started in 2018. So actually, I was going through a lot of personal things at the time. I had taken up two jobs. I was working at
Wow.
the agency I mentioned, and I was teaching at USC. And at the
Hmm.
same time, so Randy and I were working together, and
Wow.
we were connecting over kind of the things that we would see on LinkedIn. And I think that's the point where
Hmm.
like Bo started popping up and he was like, I want to do these data science office hours. And it was actually an amazing initiative that he was taking on with Terry, with Fabio, with Eric, with
Hmm.
Chris. And it was really amazing to kind of see that. And I wanted to be a part of it. I thought, how great,
Awesome.
like coming back to this
Hmm.
diversity concept. I was like, it'd be nice to have representation from all different backgrounds to kind of help address the data science community.
Hmm.
That was actually when I first started getting into,
Yeah.
get in tune with the conversations that were going on in the LinkedIn community and just in the data science community at large, and seeing how much
Hmm.
opportunity there was to really kind of inspire and also just create conversations around the things that we were going through back 2 years ago, which seemed, oh no, 3 years ago. Wow, it feels like so time is passing. Time is flying nowadays.
Oh
Um,
my God, I can only imagine.
uh,
Yeah.
so so that's when it all started. I think there was a lot of opportunity. We grew the community so much. I think from that point, it
Hmm.
was kind of there was a few voices that stuck out, but by
Hmm.
2019, I think I just saw so many new people putting their voices out there. I think they had caught on to this
Right.
idea of creating a brand for themselves as
Right.
an important part of their data science journey. It wasn't
Hmm.
just about learning the technical stuff and just being good as in their own right, but also engaging with the community, putting themselves out there, creating a brand for themselves, getting themselves noticed,
Hmm.
and that being
Right.
a critical piece for them landing their first job potentially.
Right.
So
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a very right example that you've just given out there, where personal branding, it actually gets me to an important topic and an important question that I have. How important do you think personal branding in data is today? Like, obviously there are people who might have a different opinion, where they feel that okay, personal branding is good enough, but not necessary enough. What do you think about it, Sarah?
So the way that I think about this, it's tough, right? So I think
Mm,
that I think that your work can speak for itself, and you can have zero involvement with social media. So we can talk about that, right? Like
yeah, exactly.
social media, and we'll tie this back to this mental health piece, is that it could
Mm,
actually play a bad role, right? So if you are someone who doesn't like
true.
social media, doesn't want to be involved, there are ways that you can create a brand outside of LinkedIn, outside of Twitter, outside of all of
Yeah.
these.
Mm,
There's ways to keep in contact through conferences,
yeah.
through networking, through creating a website, putting all of your projects
Yeah.
online, right? So that could be the way you create your brand. LinkedIn just
Yeah.
happens to be a medium for connecting with the community, and just really
True.
engaging with really amazing folks who are just excited, who are ready to share stuff and make themselves
Right.
probably very vulnerable, right? Like, putting yourself out there is challenging, and it's not
Right.
for everyone. And so honestly, the way that I've seen it is, it's been extremely critical and helpful for, like, for
Mm,
people noticing me, or those that are posting, and allowing opportunities for jobs, right? So when
mm,
recruiters are leveraging LinkedIn as a huge bed for finding good talent. And so the more that you're engaged, and the more you're noticed, frankly, and the more opportunities
mm,
that you might get. And so to me, I think it's important, but just as important is the networking piece, right? So you can stay
mm,
completely off of the a social media piece, but keep. So I gave a talk during Datacated, actually, about
yeah.
networking, considering it as
Mm,
a relationship building tool rather than just a transactional. I'm going to be friends with you, Ravit, but I really just want you to help me publish my book right now. um,
exactly.
but nothing else, and I only will be like, we'll only be friends until I get what I need from you. But really, it's about
Ah.
creating these very long lasting relationships, where you don't
Mm,
only think about what you're getting out of the other person, but what you can give to them as well, and thinking of it
mm,
as a balance and a two-way street, right? So you have something to offer, you just have to figure out what that is, and how that other person will see value in the things that you
right.
have to offer. And so
Mm.
through these networking events, through the conferences, you meet people, you create these relationships, and hopefully build them, and they become very important and critical in your journey.
No, I completely agree to that, Sarah, because that's what I feel too. Sometimes it can get overwhelming on social media too. You might feel when you're going out there, obviously there are pros and cons to everything, but at the same time, you need to be that strong that if you're putting out something and if it's your opinion, people might like or might not like, and it shouldn't be affecting you in any way. Rather, you should not just get away with with your purpose of knowing people more, networking more, and being there for each other, rather than wondering that okay, I have my own opinion, but no one's talking about it. It's all right, it's just your opinion, you're just coming out there and talking. And yeah, maybe what I can just clearly sense from what you've just answered here is, don't let it affect your mental health, don't let it affect your working. Just enjoy it. If you're getting on social media, network very well and make friends for life like you already did, and learn from each other, the most important thing.
Yeah.
Also, talking about that, Sarah, we had a question from Alok. It was a little different, where how to maintain a data scientist profile in this competitive environment, and what are your views on mid phrase top end algorithms in okay ML and AI?
So how to maintain a okay, how to basically, like, how to stand out. I actually saw a very funny
Yeah.
the other day where it's like in getting a job in the 1970s, and it was like, "Hi, my name is," they're like, "You're hired," and he's like, "You don't know my name, anything." He's like, "You're hired." And then it's like getting a job in 2021. It's like, here I have a bachelor's, a master's. Here's my references, and they're like, "Get out of my face." I don't have time for you. So definitely, I mean, I think the biggest thing that I would say here, aside from kind of keeping up with your technical skills, I talk a lot about the data nomad concept, which is really maintaining okay, so I'm going to reframe this. So really,
Yeah.
the soft skills are going to be super important, and the reason why I say that, and in combination with the courses that I'm developing, right? So it's
Wow.
maintaining not just your strong technical data science skill sets, but also understanding at all points how you're connecting with the business, right? So if you can find your niche within a specific domain or an industry that you really like, then really getting intimate with the business problems they're trying to solve will help you become very competitive, right? Because the
Yeah.
deeper you understand their issues, the more that you can come in and solve. But then I'll also say that, right, like coming back to this diversity issue, right? Coming from a diverse background can actually be very helpful if you know how to frame it in that sense, right? So if you say, hey, I might not have, let's say, for example, gaming expertise, but I have expertise in another domain, but the problems we're trying to solve are very similar, and we can adapt those methods and apply them here, and we can come up with creative solutions. And that's what I think that people are looking for, especially from the business domain, is how do we solve problems creatively, right? And
Right.
the more you can be curious, the more that you can show that you're excited, and that you have a near obsession over the problems they're trying to solve, that will keep you very competitive, because those are the skill sets that are actually much harder to find.
Hmm. I think yes, definitely. Soft skills are the most important thing today. I had Gilbert, who was earlier on the show, and he had spoken about why soft skills are actually plays an important role even while we are talking today. Uh, the expressions, the way we conveying things, how it's getting through is makes a lot of difference in the world out there. So I think yes, soft skills is one of the most important things out there. Also, one quick question from Robert: what
Hmm.
do you think helped you the most getting your first job?
Um, hmm. So when I think about my first job, I actually feel like I had forgotten a lot about what I had learned in undergrad. I was coming from an engineering mindset, so I had forgotten a lot of my statistics. I think
Yeah.
highlighting, coming back to this idea of extreme curiosity and near obsession, like not only will that help, did that help me in my landing my first job, but it helped me in landing every job after that as well. Is because the domain you may or may not be, so this concept of a data nomad, right? Like, let me just address that for
Right.
a second. So so I gave a talk during Data Science Connect last year, and I had just thought about this collective experience that we have, right? So we talked about all of our data science journeys being unique. Um, it's not this standardized traditional, I'm going to start in one company and just grow my way within that company anymore, right? There's so many shiny objects, especially in big tech.
Exactly.
Oh, look at these benefits, and we'll give you this and that. And so our lifespans within any particular company are short. And so that requires us actually um, to be adaptable, and to be okay with moving around into different industries, and saying, okay, I might not have the domain expertise right now, but I am infinitely curious in the problems you're trying to solve. And if you can convey that, and show that you are confident, and so, like, the books that I think about that shaped my journey really come down to building this confidence, right? It's how do you think about your mindset when you're going in, right? Are you going to think about your failures as a definition of you, or are you going to think of your failures as a stepping stone for getting better, right? And so how do you maintain your confidence through rejection, through people telling you that you failed really hard, right? So you can't use that or it's a lot of reframing, right? I think a lot of us did a lot of reframing in 2020 to overcome, but
Yeah,
um,
it's so true.
but really being able to use that as a confidence builder rather than a confidence hinderer, right? So
Mm.
um yeah, like I would just say go in, like really get intimate with the business problems they're trying to solve, come up with creative solutions, ask them a lot of questions about that's I think actually what every interview that I've ever had, I've done more of the questioning because I'm so curious about what they're trying to do, and I want to know that I want that job. So I will
Yeah.
go in and I will make sure that I'm prepared with the longest list of questions, to make sure I understand the status of what I'm walking into. You know.
Yeah, I think Robert gets his answer that rather than interviewer having many questions, he should just go with many questions if he's going for an interview. That makes a lot of sense, Sarah. Thank you for that answer. And yes, that brings me to an important question from Neeraj Satpal. In a world where digital technologies are moving faster than many businesses can keep up with, what tips you can give to data scientists to be proactive and get ahead of customer trends?
That's a really good point. So let me think about this answer. Mm,
Yeah.
I hmm. Being proactive. I mean, I think it still goes into like a lot of the things that I've been mentioning
Mm,
already is like getting intimate with the business problems. Yeah, the data sets are going to, actually, I really think of it as like an expand contract, right? So the way that I've been seeing data kind of work in
mm,
this universe, especially with data ethics, right? So digital technologies, yes, we have a lot of platforms, we have a lot of data getting generated, but there's a lot of policies and laws over what you can do with that data now. And so I've
mm.
very interested on the data ethics side to kind of see us start collecting a lot of user level data and PII, but then also going through this like expansion and contraction where we're like collecting, but now we're limited on how much we can collect, and then how we can use that data moving forward. And so staying in tune with how the ecosystem is changing is important to understanding eventually how you're going to be
Yeah.
leveraging in models and analytics in strategy and business decisions. So I
Mm,
I would recommend just always being intimate with just kind of even making predictions of your own of okay, well, where do I, based on what I've been seeing and the patterns
yeah.
in the space, do I imagine things are going to continue in this direction? And if so, how is that going to impact my business? So being curious, thinking ahead, looking ahead into the future and picking up on where these trends are moving,
Mm.
is very helpful.
I think there are many resources to Sarah where they can actually get the reports and they can feel that the business is going in what lane. And today, when we talk about data, there's obviously data everywhere. There are many white papers, citations from data scientists writing about different industries, and yeah, that could be helpful. But yeah, definitely great tip there, Sarah. Actually, it's like a follow up question, but from someone else, Dr. Tariq asks, there is a lot going on in this space nowadays. What do you think one should have his or her eyes on?
Should I mention I was like, should I mention my courses? I don't know.
Yes,
There's
definitely. Please.
there's a lot of resources. And so what I've noticed mostly is that this disconnect with learning the tools versus learning the business,
Mm,
right? And so, yeah, there's a lot of tools that are out there. I think that, and I hate this pains me to even say, but Excel is a very powerful tool. And it is, but it's not where I want to live in my day-to-day. But when I see that folks are very interested to get into the space and then want to move to the tools and focus on learning those tools ahead of learning the business, is where I start having an issue. Because if someone is going to come to me and say, oh, I know Python, I know, all these different ML models, but I don't understand how it connects to the business, it's not as valuable as someone who says, I'm very creative in my thought process. I understand the business needs intimately. I understand how data works, and I can put together a really cool analysis that'll help us strategize on the business needs. And that I can teach the technical side too, because there's a lot that is going on in the data space where, there's a lot of movement for sophistication and modeling techniques and so on. But what really drives the business forward are going to be oddly very simple things. And if you can know how to do those simple things creatively and understand how to connect to the business, which is what I'm trying to do in my courses, is really at every stage of learning a tool is understand and question yourself on how well you understand how this is going to impact the bottom line, or put yourself in the shoes of the stakeholder and say, what am I going to do with this now that it's been created? Whatever that is.
Awesome.
Right?
Yeah. Fantastic. I think that is so true. And also talking about your courses, Sarah, can we just quickly actually show our audience about the courses that is the website ready already? Let me just quickly turn on your website. Okay, here you go. Awesome. So this is your website. Is it are the courses yet launched, or how do you plan to go about it?
Right. So I'm in the middle of developing the Python workshop. All the content's already there. It's just a matter of putting it live. So that course, if you go to courses, should show up there. It's available for pre-sale currently. And what I'd love to hear from the audience as well is if there's anything specific, like a tool or ideas that you have on courses that are interesting to you, that can be kind of connected to this business mindset, right? This is all about being data driven, but also considering business as a part of your data science journey, or as you're as you're thinking about yourself as a contributor to the business, right? And so in landing any job, you're going to need to understand the needs of the business intimately. So I don't want to say leading or not leading with it, but considering it as an important piece of your learning journey, right? So nothing bothers me more than just going to a course and just seeing like how to learn the tool, which I did, right? So actually through at USC, when I was teaching the data visualization course, it's like a fire hose of information and all these tools that they want you to learn. And something that I kept as a thread throughout the entire course as we were teaching is, okay, don't just give me a really cool bubble chart. Tell me what it means. Understand why you're creating what you're creating. True. And how someone is going to, in 10 seconds, understand what you did and be able to suss out where the strategy is going to be as a result of what you've done.
Awesome. I think, yes, definitely. But all the best for your courses, Sarah. I definitely, there's someone who has asked for a link. Okay, I will share the link with you, Patrick. And yeah, you can reach out to Sarah and have questions about her courses that she's upcoming with. So when are you launching it completely, like Sarah? When will all the courses be full-fledgedly up?
Well, so I'm aiming for early March to have the first one, and I have ideas already of subsequent courses that I'll be creating. It's just a matter of, I think this is the biggest one now, is like how do we balance our time in the midst of COVID? There's so much opportunity to just be super productive and overload yourself with work. And I love that. I've been diving deep into a lot of different things. I've been probably working more than I have, or very close to how much I worked when I landed my first job and I was working at a startup, because startup life is hard.
Ah, great.
uh, so so yeah, I mean, I'm hoping early March for the launch of the first one, and then as we go, I'll just announce them online, and we'll keep in touch. Again, if anyone has ideas of topics that you're interested in seeing, I think also the thing that I really like about these courses is I come with a lot of energy, and it's something that I had like noticed when I was actually, this is something that I wanted to do, I want to say like 8 years ago, is create like fun interactive courses, because
Yes.
statisticians, I don't know why we're very dry, and we just like go straight into the material, and
Yeah.
to engage folks in a very like interactive, fun manner really changes the way you learn, right? And if you're having fun while you're learning, then you're retaining more. So that's something that I aim to do in these courses. And so
Wow.
hopefully I would love to hear feedback, and hopefully you guys enjoy them.
Awesome. People can reach out at Data Bridge Analytics to check out Sarah's courses. And don't forget to email if you have any questions or ideas for her. And yes, Sarah, definitely when you say making the courses more interactive, it makes a lot of sense to me, because I feel when we go out and we have a boring presentation, people tend to, get bored, and then they're like, okay. But at the same time, when someone someone comes up with a very interesting presentation, or maybe making it more like a discussion where there's a question coming up for us as well, it kind of, you'll always remember those presentations. And it's similar to courses that I can see. And yeah, you are on the what I can see is definitely your courses will fly. So all the best for that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Quick question from Harpreet, important question. I've been going through some serious burnout lately, and it's tough because you can't sleep it off. What are some things you do, help you to get back to yourself when you feel that burnout coming on? Very interesting.
Harpreet, oh my God, I think I went through this literally yesterday. I was telling Ravit, like I feel like I stressed myself
True.
out so much that yesterday I did a few hours of just self-care. Like I
Wow.
think that especially, so I massaged myself, I did some meditation. I think especially in 2020, a really nice practice that I incorporated into my day-to-day. I think I was running anywhere from 2 on a bad day to 6 miles every day. And I was meditating at the end. So I would either sit in the front of my building, or I would sit in the middle of my run, and I would just take a pause from my day, and I would do 10 minutes of uninterrupted meditation and breathing exercises. And it helped so much. And now I realize because once 2020 hit, I think the turn of the year, and it just got so busy. And it became almost normal to be working as much as 14 hours a day. And I was like, is this normal? And like, your expectations of yourself soar through the roof, because if you did it once that you should do it again. And that's not really where you want to be, or the expectations that you should have of yourself. Having time to yourself and having work-life balance is extremely important to maintaining consistency, right? It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And so keeping yourself honest on, okay, I'm putting my work aside and I'm going to take some time for me to do things that I enjoy. So one thing that I really love that's helped me is I picked up the piano. I bought a keyboard last year, and I hired a teacher to teach me how to play. And it's a beautiful escape to just challenge yourself, to pick up a new hobby, right? Because I think something that, I don't know if anyone agrees with me on this, but all of my hobbies are related to data. And I was like, this can't be. Why is everything I'm picking up related to data? I'm like, I'm becoming a one-dimensional person. All my conversations are data related. And
Oh,
I, and and you don't want to be one dimensional. You want to be able to have your
Exactly.
hobbies. You want to be able to have time for other things and find enjoyment in things outside of your job and your career.
Mm.
So I encourage you, Harpreet, to pick up a hobby if you haven't already, and a 100% go back to like breathing exercises and meditation. I had to remind myself the other day how important that was. So
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Having that self care is very much important, because working for maybe 12 hours, 14 hours can get you to just another. It might work for a day or two, or maybe a week, but after that, there is a complete blockage to your head, and then you can't think about anything. And yes, I agree. Definitely, Sarah, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So I'll keep that in mind always too, because it's about the long run, right?
yeah.
Always.
Well, so also another thing that I would say, Harpreet, like, is I think for us who are like highly involved and very ambitious and want to get involved with everything, it's easy to say yes to everything. And
Mm,
our desire is to say yes because we think that we can do it, right? And we think there should be no reason why we can't, and we want to give our time and help the community, and or just pursue a business idea, right? And there's so much that you can say yes to, that coming up with a prioritized log of like, and this is something that I've actually done a little bit more mentally, not more written,
mm,
um, is understanding how the things that I'm taking on today are going to impact me or build on my career trajectory in the next 3 to 5 years, right? Where do I see
mm.
myself in 3 to 5 years? And is what I'm taking on now contributing to that future goal? And if the answer
Yeah.
is no, then just put it down on the prioritization list. It doesn't mean you never have to do it. Keep that idea alive, or keep that relationship alive so that you can take it on some other time, but just say no to it temporarily and prioritize other things.
Yeah, I think maybe taking on too many activities at the moment, or just where you're overwhelmed, and there might be many glittery things might come your way, but sometimes yes, saying a no might help too. So yeah, that is very true, and great tips there, Sarah, about how to not get burned, because I myself sitting here, I can learn so many things. So definitely that helped Harpreet too. There were a few questions, a few answers actually. Harpreet, take a break and refresh with new ideas. I agree. Most of my hobbies are data related too. Might
It's
need some
true.
rest.
I don't know why we do that.
Camden says, I discovered breathing exercise in 2020, very helpful and for maintaining focus, definitely. Quick question from Albert about your company and about your courses. Sarah, I came in late. What niche in the market are you serving with your site? How is it different from other competitors in the space?
Right.
Interesting
So
question.
the niche in the market is really one that I don't think really, I haven't really seen it
Mm,
exist, which is why I thought it was a great opportunity to come in and really serve this niche of where we're not just considering the tools that we're using, but also how it's related to the different domains that we're planning to get into. And so most courses that you'll find online will say, Python for, beginners, and then it'll teach you the tools, or Tableau, or, various ML algorithms. And
yeah.
it's to understand the techniques, but understanding how those techniques get applied to the business problems. And I feel like now I'm just repeating myself a bunch.
No,
Is
that's okay.
Yeah, is really where you'll stand out as someone who's looking for a job, or someone who's even looking to grow themselves within their own respective industries or jobs. Like, that's where I found I spend most of my time, is not just maintaining my data science skill set, but it's also
Yeah.
at every point understanding how my intimate understanding of the business, and my communication skills to not just my peers, but to leaders across the organization, and understanding their problems intimately, and coming up with creative ideas that they might not even thought about, right? So putting things in front of them and saying, hey, have you thought of this or have you thought of that, right? So since we have access to the data, we get to be the most creative because we know what's available. Sometimes they don't even know what we're collecting and what we're not. And so us as the data folks, we have a unique position in the company where we can, if we're smart enough, right, we can be the ones driving a lot of that
Exactly.
creativity, a lot of that strategy. It's just a matter of accepting that's a part of our role, right? Instead of just
Yeah.
being the person who just executes on someone else's vision, having a voice in where that strategy goes is extremely important.
No, I see. Sarah, definitely you have your North Stars very well in place when you talk about your projects, and I'm very excited for your courses to just come on. So yeah, all the best for that, and yeah, definitely that helps Albert too. I had an interesting question from Jamie. Hey, Jamie, during the job search, what are some best practices for featuring past projects in a public portfolio while still respecting the intellectual property of past clients? Thanks for loving this episode. Wow.
Do you have an answer, Ravi?
I think it's about the answer. What I feel fits very well is you can, when you talk about a public portfolio, you can never, it's always competitive. You can never have something where you'll be able to respect the intellectual property of past clients, because today if I'm working for pack publishing, and if I go to say O'Reilly or maybe any other publisher, there might be some places where I might be using those clients back in my day job. And it will happen because I have had those relationships. But it depends on person to person and the business role that you are changing your job in. Um, I think, yeah, it has to happen. It is a mix of both. At the same time, it is very ethical to keep it, you respecting it very much. Your past clients need to be respected if you have signed an NDA. So don't even touch or don't even try to do that, because it can get, it can just backfire. But yeah, I think that's what I think. What do you think, Sarah?
I think that was a great answer. I think being
Yeah.
somewhat vague into how you played a role in moving those initiatives forward without getting into the details could be a great way of
Yeah.
just highlighting your contribution and in vague terms referring to the overall impact of the project and your contribution. I think
Mm.
someone just put up a very interesting question, which I like the idea,
Yeah.
organizing courses into a content based like business.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a really great option, and I'll consider that as I start building things
Exactly.
out, putting things into like
Yeah.
specific. So yeah, keep those ideas coming. I think understanding how they'll be most useful to kind of those that are navigating the space is
Mm.
very helpful in making sure that you guys are receiving the knowledge in the best way that is helpful to you.
Yeah, exactly. I think more the ideas, I think more it gets you in a better space where you can actually, create some courses which might be very much relevant to something which is ongoing. But that brings me to one question which I had for you, Sarah. How do you see? It's a question. Obviously, we don't know what will happen next year, but how do you see data evolving in next 5 years? What is your vision?
Yeah. Well, so like I mentioned at some point is I see it kind of
Mm,
doing this expand contract, right? I all like so there's different ways that we see evolution. I think data
mm,
ethics, data privacy is such an important piece of the data ecosystem. So what we'll be able to do with that data may get a little bit it may it may become more fruitful in some ways, but it may contract in other ways. And so we're already seeing that with the release of iOS 14. So most people are not they don't understand the implications of
Exactly.
the things that live on our phones and all the data that's being collected on us, and then how it gets utilized into mostly advertising, right? So
Exactly.
it's all about understanding personas. And once we understand personas, then we can create creatives that resonate with those personas, and we can increase our conversion rates. And yay, it's like it's driving this really well-oiled machine. Now, the things that end up happening is that people start, and this is great to see, by the way, is like this collective understanding, right? The Social Dilemma came out, and I'm assuming most
Exactly.
people on here have watched The Social Dilemma to understand
Definitely.
how these different systems work together and how we contribute to those well-oiled machines and
Exactly.
the choices that we make. So every time you go onto a website now, they have to tell you that they're collecting data on you, and you have to accept their cookies. And when iOS 14 comes out, the default will be to not collect rather than to collect. So you have to opt in rather than opt out, which is a great, I think, a movement in, right? And so everything's a trade-off. So it's a movement in the right direction for us as consumers, but on the data side, now we fall into a different challenge, right? Is how can we on aggregate start understanding our users rather than at a very personalized level? But there's ways to get
Yeah.
around that with hashes and whatnot, and you can encrypt the data in different ways and still get ideas of personas and stuff, but now it gets harder to merge things across systems, right? So what's really interesting in the space of advertising is that you want a holistic picture, and so you'll take third-party data and merge it with your first-party data, and it becomes this very nice rich data set, and you can do so much with it. And we see that now becoming more and more challenging and more limiting. And so what we'll need to be able to do is really adapt our ideas and kind of go back to how we used to do things, right? And so it's a step forward and then a step back. It's this interesting game of moving one step forward, 10 steps back, one step forward, 10 steps back. So yeah, interesting stuff. I'd keep in the loop of all these movements towards data privacy. I would keep yourself very much in tune of how the data that we collect is going to be changed by the different policies that are being made. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of various debates going on and government getting involved in a lot of the policies that are meant to protect us. So expand, contract. But at least from the data science roles perspective, I think I've definitely seen things get a little bit more defined, right? And so in a space where I think when I was teaching my data visualization course, we're looking for data unicorns, which I know it's still nice to find data unicorns. I think having, as companies are evolving and recognizing, okay, what we're going to do with each person, the roles get more defined. And so what you need to focus on in terms of skill sets becomes a little bit more defined, right? And so it makes it easier on us. So the expectation is not, we need to know everything. It's that we need to now and be really good at this small subset of skills. So that's one thing that I think is a great evolution into the next 5-10 years, is that we'll be a bit more focused on what we need to know and the expectations of ourselves.
That actually brings me, when we are talking about so much data here, that brings me to an important topic, which is data literacy. And also, what do you think about data literacy? How many people are data literate today, or what are the 3 important things that you actually think is important to know about data?
Yeah, so this one was really interesting. So I don't know who else got very involved in politics last year.
Yeah. Everyone did, I'm sure.
I think that it was an almost no-brainer for me, with the presidential election, obviously everything that happened with the pandemic, all the social unrest. It was just really hard to not be very involved in the political sphere last year, and leading up to last year. So what I did, I figured that what I was seeing actually, like a bunch of people on LinkedIn were posting all these like really erroneous data visualizations from
Yeah.
of COVID trends, and the predictions were off. And obviously, we were dealing with very messy data at the time, but like the visualizations that were meant to help us understand
Mm.
the trends or even the status were built by people that maybe didn't even understand the data or
Yeah.
the implications of what they were putting out there. And so there were a lot of
Exactly.
wonky visualizations that came out at the time. But then also like statements and implications based off of that were potentially wrong as well, right? So
Mm.
so from that standpoint, I realized, there's so much opportunity for us who are in the data space and who are
Yeah.
who are data literate, right? To have an impact in this space. So when I think about data for social good, I just joined. So Code for America is a nonprofit organization that is looking to take the data that's publicly available, right? Like open data, and now use it to help our communities. So I joined
Mm.
the Hack for LA, which is the LA brigade for Code for America.
Yeah.
And I'm working on developing these data literacy workshops for the public, but also for the organizations that are helping assist these communities that don't have people who know
Yeah.
enough about the data to help build and support the community in ways that we need to. So in 2009, Obama actually opened up data.gov. And data.gov is an open source. It has over 100,000, maybe now over 200,000 open data sets that
Mm.
are being released at the local, state, and federal level. And those are really nice, small and big data sets that can be used for social good. And you'll see, like, so as a part of Hack for LA, they took 311 data. So 311 data is like if you have something that is going on in your community and you want someone at the city level to know, you call 311 and you put in that report, and then that gets
Okay.
recorded somewhere. But then visualizations get built off of it, and then it just lives on a website and no one's using it, right? So
Yeah.
so how do you educate the public to understand how this data is theirs, how they can
Exactly.
leverage it, how they can, coming back to this idea of strategy, how can they strategize and actually do something with that data rather than just have it live somewhere where no one's using it, no one in the
Yeah.
organization is doing anything about it. And this all ties back to understanding the business intimately. And in this case, the business is the city functioning properly, right? Like, how do you make sure the city is functioning properly? Where do you find the data sets to answer those questions? And if the data doesn't exist, go create that data, create surveys, create ways of getting public engagement so that you can
Yeah.
start helping the communities in ways.
Yeah, I think that actually got me very close to data literacy now. Now I can understand, because it's not only about putting the visualization out there, or maybe just keeping it there, and that's it. But it has more to it, which is actually the pressing issue right now.
Right. I think Robert said something very interesting, right? He said, I try to
Yeah.
stay out of politics. It could lead to political bias. Data is data. So the thing about like political data is having these conversations are actually very challenging. And that's actually something that, so I gave a talk not I think last week at ABD
Mm.
Society, and I just took like two random data, they weren't random, but I took two data sets and I just started joining them, and I was just like trying to start a conversation about it, because
Yeah.
political issues are not the same. Political issues can or cannot be social issues, and social issues are important, but social issues are infinitely challenging, right? And this is where understanding where like, and connecting with people, sometimes even doing interviews, right? And that can be very time consuming. Understanding who your stakeholders are and really
Yeah.
understanding the needs of the community before you dive into a problem is extremely important. And having conversations around what the data is saying, and there could be biases in the data, so how do you accommodate for that, or go collect new
Mm.
data if you need to. I think these are
Okay.
all very, very, very important issues, which is why I've been somewhat incentivized to kind of play even a small role
Yeah,
in
exactly.
moving that forward. And so most, some of us will be like, no, that's not for me, which is okay. But for those who are
Yeah.
interested, I think it might be a nice way to even volunteer your time. So that's what I'm doing through Hack for LA, is just volunteering my time,
Mm.
see where I can have like a small little benefit, to kind of helping the conversations be driven in the right way.
Yeah. I think yes. Definitely,
That's,
Robert would agree to that.
yeah.
Sir, are you planning to have any course on data for social good in your courses?
I think that's a really yeah, I think that's a great highlight. I think definitely having something there where we're looking at, because there's so much to even be understood about what's publicly available. How did each of there's different every state now has its own site where they're publishing data sets there, and
Yeah.
each of
Yeah.
them will have their own portals. And so
Mm.
yeah, we can do a course on that, and I think that's a really a big one
Oh,
that I'd love to focus on and get more people involved.
yeah. I think you have me signed up, Sarah, for sure for this one.
Great.
Okay. Question from Mayowa. Thank you for this time, Sarah. Bridging diversity gap in data science, to what extent has LinkedIn community been a help? Is
Mhm.
there any platform that addresses that? How do you think you can help those with little or less connection within the community? Firstly, Mayowa.
I mean, I personally will say that, at least from even my initial, like, it was comes back to
Mm.
the first thing I mentioned at the top of the call, is how I even got involved. And that
Yeah.
this is huge for for the data science community, is having these conversations over, like, and having a platform to do that was extremely important, I think, for increasing visibility, number one. So I've seen so
Yeah.
many posts where people from all different backgrounds and all like are being highlighted, and this is the platform really to help those who are forming these conferences that seem maybe male centric or whatever centric, right, to look at and see the plethora of top talent that is online, and
Yeah.
started generating lists. So I remember when there were conferences a few years back. I think we've come a long way since then, where
Yeah.
it was all, I mean, for the lot, I mean, if I remember correctly, all white men. And I was like, oh, come on. And so, like, the diversity problem is a two-way street, right? It's us being empathetic to, hey, maybe they don't know yet that this is important, right? But
Mm.
also being able to surface to them and making them aware, like, hey, look, there is top talent and here's where to find it. And so then creating these lists,
Yeah.
right? I see a lot of people posting up, hey, these are the people you should follow, these are top talent. Whether they're posting a lot or not, they're good in their own right and should be kind of brought to light and kind of given, exposure. So
Exactly.
I've seen that a lot, and so from LinkedIn as a platform to help that, I think it's been amazing. A lot of
Mm.
people have been given a voice, and I feel like everyone deserves a voice on here to kind of create their brands or talk about the data
Mm.
topics that they're looking to talk about to increase visibility. Um,
Yeah.
so so 100%, I think LinkedIn has done a great job
Oh,
in doing
yes.
that. So
Oh,
uh,
yes.
stay engaged.
Definitely, Mega. Stay engaged, be on the community, and keep using LinkedIn, and you'll have I think, like Sarah just mentioned some time back, it's not a sprint; it's a marathon. You will meet many people here. You might come across many experiences that might help you in your data science journey, and that's what will keep you going. Okay, another question from Ayush Jain. Would your courses cover ML ops as well while covering the business application aspects? Most courses in the industry lack that, due to which data scientists find it difficult on real world projects.
So
Okay.
yeah, that might not be like a first thing that I tackle right away, but that could be
Mm,
something that I incorporate kind of later on in the courses. So
yeah.
definitely have a roadmap for where I'm going with this. I'm excited to see so much engagement and questions on the courses. It means that there's
Oh, yes.
an audience and a desire to have that connection, right? And so from the ML technical side to the
Mm,
business side. And so I'm really excited. I'm to see all this questions and all this engagement. So
yeah. Same here. And that's where you can, data bridge analytics is Sarah's side. You can go and, keep a tap on it, because April is when Sarah is planning to launch all her courses, most of them. And that's where she starts, obviously. But right now, I think, Sarah, what folks can do, can they sign up on this one? Okay,
yeah,
yes.
so you can click to enroll and sign up. There's the
Yep.
Python course is there, so you can go ahead and
Mm.
enroll in that. And I'll
Oh,
start. I mean, it seems like there's so much engagement, so I think I need to go reprioritize my backlog of things to do. Speaking about backlogs and having so much to do, so I'm actually very excited. And so if you want to connect with me over
same here.
LinkedIn and ask me any questions that you have, and
Mm.
help develop what that roadmap looks like. I think I have a pretty good one um, in my mind, but especially after this talk, have a much better sense of exactly what the community is looking for. So super excited to build those out. Super excited to work on this together.
Very excited for you, Sarah, and definitely there's so much energy in there. Quick question, Sarah, before we wrap up and before we say bye to the audience. It was about, since we were talking about conferences, how, first of all, which is your favorite conference? And I know it's kind of very difficult, and it might sound very biased if you say, okay, which are the conferences? I'll just reframe it, and I might just ask you this way: which are a few conferences that you might suggest to our audience that they should attend, and they might get a lot of insights there.
Right. So the few that I've been involved in the past, Data Science Go, I
Yeah.
so much energy
Kirill's
from
conference.
Kirill. I've been
Yeah.
involved for a few years in a row. It's always amazing to see what
Wow.
he's able to pull
Yeah.
together. So definitely did a shout out to Kirill and his team and the Data Science Go team.
Hmm.
Must we mention Dedicated? So
Data
Kate
cadet.
has been amazing at putting together those conferences. I briefly was able to watch the small roundtable with Eric and Ben, and a lot of amazing other speakers, and so that was really fun to watch. Very informative. A great way to connect with the community there, and they're like rapid fire
Hmm.
talks, and so they really,
Yeah.
they challenge you to get a lot of information in at once. And then the other one, Data Science Connect. So I did that. That's where I
Wow.
gave my talk on Data Nomad. That was a really fun
Hmm.
one. I really love what Amelia's doing. So actually, one that another talk that I might give this year is so I
Hmm.
love her idea of focusing on K through 12. So right now our focus has really been on helping those who have already graduated with their bachelor's degrees and master's degrees and are looking to either enter the field or grow themselves within the field, but now
Yeah.
taking a step back and looking at like, when does this passion actually start, and can we start creating, can we start helping children as they're growing up kind of
Hmm.
get a better sense, right? Like, so even when I was growing up, my mom was like lawyer, doctor, engineer, right? Like she doesn't even know what I do. Half the time she's like,
Right.
Sam, what do you do again? So like educating them from a young age and helping them get inspired and seeing, like, connecting with the work that they'll be doing in the future, and easing them into it at a younger age, I think is and inspiring them young is going to be a, like, really great initiative. And so that's one conference that I'll be definitely doing this year, and she has a lot of others that she's planning, so I would look out for Data Science Connect as well.
Data Science Connect, amazing. So I think I was on the both of the conferences with, and I've been attending Careers conference. Obviously, Data Cadet is one of my favorite conferences too. But Data Connect, definitely going out there and checking this one out. And I'll be sharing the links with the audience so they can have a look at it. And definitely, Sarah, I hate to say this, goodbyes are not good, but I'm, it was one of the most interesting conversations I ever had. The energy I felt, people actually, as a host, people come back to me and they're like, okay, you have some energy, but today I felt the guest here, Sarah, you had so much energy and it brought so much. There were so many questions in there. Obviously, we couldn't take all the questions, but I request you, if you have sometime, just go back and if you can run through those questions. If there are many questions about the courses too, so it might help you build your roadmap, and we are definitely looking forward to the courses that are coming up in April too. Databridgeanalytics.com is Sarah's website. I would urge everyone to go and visit and have a look and suggest some great courses that you would want from Sarah. Also, Sarah, one last question before we make a move. Where, if people want to reach out to you and talk to you about your courses and about data world and all of those things, which is the best way? I know one is LinkedIn, the other way, if they need to reach out to you.
I think honestly, LinkedIn has been just the
Awesome.
source for me, and so that's the best way to connect with me. And I tend to be very responsive to thoughtful connections. If it's a non-thoughtful connection and you just and it's, there's nothing there, it's
Yeah.
harder to build those relationships. So
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate thoughtful connections, and so I tend to be very communicative on there. So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, go for it.
Okay, Sarah, someone just cracked. Okay, Dr. Tariq just cracked the screen.
Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
Sarah, it was a pleasure talking to you. We will meet soon again on the Ravit Show. But until then, have a great day. Bye
Thank you
bye.
so much for
Thank you very
having
much.
me.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Yes.